You know what's crazy? Women don't really appreciate what they have until they think they might lose it. That's the cold, hard truth that every man needs to hear. If you've ever pulled away from a woman, stopped texting as much, started focusing more on yourself, or just acted like you don't need her, suddenly she gets desperate. And that's when the games really start. Here's the thing. When you're constantly giving her attention, showering her with validation, and always there when she needs you, she doesn't truly value you the way she should. She becomes comfortable with you, takes you for granted, and starts to lose respect. But the second you pull back, when you stop showing that you need her, that's when the panic sets in. She starts worrying that she might actually lose you. And that's when the desperation kicks in. It's not because she's suddenly realized your worth or that she's been blind to how amazing you are. No, it's because the fear of loss is a powerful motivator for women. When a woman sees that you're not chasing her anymore, she realizes that her value is slipping through her fingers. And that's when she starts pulling out all the stops to get your attention back. So why does this happen? Why does she only get desperate when she thinks she's losing you? That's what we're going to dive into. Men, you need to understand the psychology behind this behavior and how you can use it to your advantage. Stop falling for the games and start recognizing your own value. 0 She takes you for granted until you pull away. When you're constantly available, always there when she needs you, she starts to take you for granted. You've been that guy who's always checking in, always planning dates, and always giving her attention. It feels good at first, right? But over time, it becomes predictable, and she gets comfortable. Comfort leads to complacency, and she stops appreciating you the way she should. She doesn't notice the effort you're putting in because, in her mind, you'll always be there. But the moment you pull back, stop texting as much, don't show up as often, or just start living your life, everything changes. Suddenly, she feels the shift. She realizes that the constant attention she's used to isn't guaranteed anymore. This is when she begins to panic. Why? Because for the first time, she sees that she might actually lose you. It's amazing how quickly someone can go from not valuing you to desperately trying to get your attention. The truth is, she never really valued your effort until it stopped. Think about it. When you were giving her all your time and energy, she didn't seem to appreciate it. But now, the second you stop, she's chasing you, wondering why things have changed. A real-life example. You've been texting her nonstop, making sure she's good, planning things for the weekend. Then one day, you decide to pull back. Maybe you don't text as much. Maybe you start doing things with your friends or just focusing on yourself. What happens? She starts texting you more, asking where you've been, why you're distant, even throwing in some "I miss you" or "I hope everything's okay" messages. Why? Because she's afraid that your attention is slipping away, and now she's scrambling to get it back. This is the part where most men mess up. They mistake her sudden interest for true affection or realization. But remember, it's not that she suddenly sees your value. It's that she sees you're no longer an option, and now she's desperate to reclaim what she almost lost. 2. Her desperation comes from fear, not love. When a woman starts getting desperate, it's not because she's suddenly madly in love with you. It's because she's afraid of losing you. Fear is the driving force behind her actions, not genuine affection. When you pull away, she realizes that the control she once had over you is slipping through her fingers. This fear triggers a panic response, not a loving one. Think about it. When she feels secure in your attention, she takes it for granted. But the moment she feels that you might walk away, the fear of losing you kicks in. It's almost like a survival instinct. She becomes hyper-aware of every move you make, watching your actions closely, hoping to catch your attention again. This is why women often don't act desperate until they think you're pulling away. It's not about how much they love you. It's about how much they fear losing you. Once she starts sensing that you might be getting emotionally detached, she will do whatever it takes to pull you back in. But understand this. She's not doing it out of love. She's doing it out of fear and insecurity. Here's something many men overlook. Desperation isn't a sign of commitment. It's a sign of neediness. She's trying to regain control over the situation. When you stop showing the same level of interest, she has to work harder to get your attention. This sudden effort doesn't come from a deep desire to make things work. It comes from the fear of losing you to someone else, or worse, being alone. Take this example. Imagine you've been dating for a while and you stop calling as much or taking the lead in planning dates. She senses your lack of interest and suddenly she's texting you non-stop, making plans and acting all sweet. It's not because she's been sitting around thinking about how much she loves you. It's because she fears you might lose interest for good. She's panicking. So men, remember this. When a woman starts showing desperation, it's not a sign that she's emotionally invested. It's a sign that she's afraid. Don't confuse fear with real commitment. Her desperation isn't love, it's insecurity. 3. She only values you when she feels she might lose you. It's a tough pill to swallow, but here's the reality. Women often don't fully value a man until they think they might lose him. And if you've been paying attention, you know it's true. When you're constantly there, showing your affection, planning dates, and making her feel secure, she's not always going to appreciate it. The moment you pull back, though, suddenly, things change. She begins to feel a shift, and that's when her perception of you starts to change as well. The reason for this? She's driven by the fear of loss. When she knows you're always there, she takes your presence for granted. It's not that she doesn't care, but she starts seeing your attention as something she's entitled to. There's no urgency, no need to put in extra effort. She's comfortable. But the second she realizes that you're not as available, not as invested, she begins to worry. Now she feels like she has something to lose. And that's when she starts valuing you more. You see, it's not that she didn't like you or didn't enjoy your company. It's just that she didn't realize how important you were until the thought of losing you became real. And the truth is, she might not even recognize this shift in herself. It's all subconscious. She just knows that when things are easy, she takes you for granted. But when the balance shifts and she has to fight a little, that's when her emotions start to realign. It's frustrating, isn't it? You can give all of yourself to her, always be available, and show her you care. But until you show that you've got your own life, your own boundaries, and your own needs, she doesn't truly value you the way she should. She only values you when she sees the possibility of losing you, and that's when the desperation kicks in. She starts scrambling to get your attention, to regain the connection. The sad part, this is often the only time she truly wakes up to your worth. Not because you've changed, but because the dynamic between you has shifted. And in that shift, she starts to realize what she has in front of her. 4. Your attention is her power. Lose it, and she panics. Here's a hard truth, men. Your attention is one of the most powerful things you can give. And if you constantly pour it into her without making her earn it, you're setting yourself up for failure. When you give her all of your focus without holding back, she gets used to it. And that's when she starts to take it for granted. It feels good for a while, doesn't it? You're the one who's always there for her. Always texting, always calling, always making sure she feels special. But here's where you mess up. You make her the center of your universe, and she starts seeing your attention as something she deserves rather than something she has to earn. Now, I'm not saying don't give her attention or don't show her you care, but here's the truth. When you stop giving her that attention all the time, she'll start panicking. When you stop being there at her beck and call, when you put your life and goals first, she feels the shift. And that's when she realizes she might actually lose you. But here's the thing, men. You've got to wake up to the power of your own attention. It's not something you should just give away without boundaries. When you stop being so available, when you start taking care of your own needs first and living your own life, that's when she starts to notice. Not because she suddenly sees how much you care, but because she's realizing that your attention is something she can't take for granted. You have to stop giving her all of you and start demanding the same level of effort in return. Don't be the guy who's always chasing, always available, and always showing up while she does nothing to reciprocate. That's the kind of behavior that leads to her taking you for granted. So here's the hard truth for every man listening. If you're always the one chasing and always giving her your attention without making her work for it, she's going to get comfortable. The second you stop being there, the second you make her realize that your attention isn't a given, she'll panic. And that's when she becomes desperate. Wake up, men. Start setting boundaries, start living your life, and stop putting her on a pedestal. Your attention is valuable, and if you don't recognize that, she certainly won't. Once you do, watch how quickly things change. 5. She knows she has you, and that's why she stops trying. Let's face it, men. When she knows she has you wrapped around her finger, she stops trying. It's a tough pill to swallow, but it's the truth. At the beginning of the relationship, when things are new and exciting, both of you are putting in effort. You're planning dates, making her feel special, and she's doing the same. But somewhere along the way, she gets comfortable. She knows you're hooked, she knows you're invested, and she knows she doesn't have to work as hard. This is where a lot of men mess up. They let their guard down and stop making her earn their attention and effort. She starts to feel like she can get away with anything, and you'll still be there. It's easy to think that this is a sign of a stable, comfortable relationship, but in reality, it's a sign that she's stopped trying because she feels she's won. When she doesn't feel like she has to put in the same effort to keep you, that's when she starts getting lazy. She doesn't show the same level of interest. She stops planning dates, and she stops checking in on you the way she used to. Why? Because she knows she has you already. And here's the kicker. The moment she realizes you might be pulling away, that's when she starts getting desperate. It's a dangerous game to play when she feels secure in your commitment, but doesn't have to put any effort in. Men, this is when you've got to wake up. She'll take your presence for granted and treat you like you're always going to be there until you show her that you're not. You've given her too much power when you stop setting boundaries or putting in the effort to keep the relationship balanced. This is why things change the moment you stop being so available. When she sees that she might lose you, when she sees that she has to earn your attention again, that's when she'll start scrambling. It's not out of love or genuine affection. It's because she's terrified of losing what she thought she could take for granted. So here's the advice, men. Stop giving her the power to think she has you no matter what. Show her that your attention is earned, not expected. And only when you start doing that will she truly realize how valuable you are. Let's get real, men. Here's the truth. If she's not desperate to keep you, she never truly cared about you in the first place. I know that might sting, but it's the cold, hard truth. A woman who values you won't wait until you pull back to realize what she has. She'll be fighting to keep it, not just coasting along thinking you'll always be there. If you're always available, if she knows she can take you for granted, don't be surprised when she stops putting in the effort. So, wake up. Stop making yourself so easy to have. Stop chasing her when she's not putting in the effort. You're worth more than that. And when you start acting like it, she'll see it too. I want to hear from you. Comment below with your experiences and thoughts. Have you been in this situation? Have you ever felt like she stopped trying because she knew she had you? I'll be reading your comments and reaching out so we can connect and talk more about this. Your experiences matter, and we can learn from each other. Let's build a community where we hold ourselves and each other accountable. Don't settle for being a man who's just there. Be the one who's hard to lose.